Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Welcome back, everybody. We're in our second conversation, or part two of our conversation, with Alex Kimbrough. I'm not going to call you senior. He's been there the longest.
I'm a director. That's basically.
And Fox 2, really good at his job.
I've asked somebody. First of all, thank you for having me again. I've asked someone recently, one of my doctors, who's a podiatrist, and I said to him, when you're in the company of people who are not in the medical field, how do you title yourself? Do you say you're a doctor? Are you a podiatrist? Are you a foot doctor? What term do you use? And he says he calls himself a podiatrist.
Yeah.
If someone were to ask you, what do you do for a living? What is your job? How do you title yourself? Yeah, I know this is your interview, and I'm asking you a question.
Hey,
what title do you give?
Okay, initially,
who are not in the business?
I'll say I'm a video and film producer director.
It's a lot of words.
Sometimes I'll say producer director. I rarely say TV director.
Okay.
Because they go, what show have you done? And something like that, and it's like, so yeah, most of the time I'm a video and film producer director.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah, it is.
Did they ask you to explain that?
They go, really? What do you do? Or what have you done? And then I kind of.
Okay. The title I usually give them is I'm a television director.
Mm-hmm.
That way it distinguishes me from the film directors and the theater directors, or director of engineering or director of this company.
I know.
So I just say I'm a television director, and for the most part, people understand what that is. So you're directing TV,
right?
If I was a producer, they don't know what that is. But director, they kind of get it. There's a vision of either you got the writing crop and the chaps on, or you're in the bullhorn. Or you're the guy saying action,
Right.
Or what I also say is, I'm the guy who says, ready, one, take one, ready, two, take two. And I'm the one who starts the show and I'm the one who ends it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the alpha and the omega of any production. So, and I sit and I call camera numbers in the dark. Ready, one, take one, ready, three, take three. And that people kind of get that.
Well, now they do.
Now they do, because it's more out there.
Like 20 years and earlier, they didn't get it. They didn't.
20 years ago, but say 50 years ago, remember how long we've been around. 20 years ago was just the 90s. They were still watching TV.
But the thing about it though is, my experience was, people still didn't know what I did. They they would say,
"What?
Put me on TV."
Yeah, and I get that too.
So see,
because they figure as a director, you have the power to do that. And no, just in the previous segment, I don't even get to pick my own crew.
Yeah,
let alone, you're going to be the person we're going to interview or talk to.
Yeah.
But if I use just the term director, which is again something I never wanted, and I will turn that hat in today if I could. People look at it and it's got some kind of cachet value to it, like, oh, you're a director, and it's a different job. It's not a job that. It's not somebody that they see all the time, because there's only a few of us in this town that do this. Mm-hmm. So to meet somebody who directs, and then they ask the question, where do you direct? I said, well, I do the news at Fox 2. Do you? Mm-hmm. And that's something they can relate. If I said I worked for Grayson Wild or, or some advertising company they never heard of, what is that? Mm-hmm. But TV, well, that's something they know.
Yeah.
And they're fascinated by it. And I granted, it is a fascinating job overall. You meet people, you're in a different environment. Even though sometimes you're in a cubicle, but when you do your actual work, you're not. Mm-hmm. And then you're sitting behind a mic of some kind, either of your headset or sitting in front of you.
Right.
And you're telling people what to do. Take this, roll that, zoom here.
Yeah.
Play the music, shut them up, whatever. And it's got kind of a jazzy kind of a thing to it. But my wife would say it's a sexy job.
Yeah.
Okay. But then after 4 decades, I was like, okay, sure.
Well, see now, what I was doing, like I did a lot of industrial stuff for Ford and stuff. Well, as I call them, gourds in previous episodes. But what was cool about that was we would get an engineer and say, I'd like you to produce a video on machine vision.
Okay.
And then they would give me this great big old book, and I said, okay, I need you to scale that back. And then we write a dialogue script, and then I'd do my video script. And so the cool thing about that was I was actually producing something that didn't exist before. So in a sense, it was kind of film style directed, but I was creating something that wasn't already
something out of
here.
the ether. Something that didn't exist. Correct.
So that part of my career, what I said was I did film style directing.
Sure.
But it was on video, which was the only difference. The only difference was because we were on videotape.
Which is kind of now it's all digital. So
right. So yeah. But it's like I told you in the previous episode, I was able to pick my own crew, so I knew who could do what. I hired a lighting company who did lighting for film.
Sure.
And they did our lighting, and which is where I learned how something was lit well, because I didn't know anything about lighting,
I still don't.
And so, but the thing about it is, my career, I've done so many different things. I've done music, I've done interviews, I've done church, I've done municipal, I've done industrial, I've done medical and things. And so because it's been so varied, I didn't get bored, for lack of a better word, doing just one thing,
Right.
And I was always interested in directing news. I wanted to see. Now, some years ago, there was a strike, and so an opportunity presented itself for me to work at this local news station, during the strike, and I did camera.
Okay.
I was a tape op. I did audio, and I think that was it. Yeah, those three. I did camera, tape op, and audio.
Okay.
And I thought, this is great. You can just go, to these different positions and you don't get bored. And then I thought, wait a minute, no, you can't. This is a union shop.
Right.
It's just right now, it's kind of free for all because they need people to cover different positions.
Right.
I still was always interested in doing news because I thought, well, I haven't done that yet.
Is that the reason why you wanted to do it? Because it was just different?
So now we're going to go to where Alex and I came and ran into each other after 40 years.
Right.
I found out about a position at Fox 2 for master control operator.
Oh,
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Probably.
So I went in and I talked to the
Chief engineer?
No, not even him.
Oh.
I forgot her name. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Allowed to know.
But while I was talking to her so I went into master control, saw how it all worked, went into the studio, saw everything. When I got back to her office, I don't know who said there's a director position. No, they said a per diem director position.
Technically freelance, because the DGA does not have per diems.
Well, see,
but I know she called it per diem.
She called it per diem, and here's the thing: only per diem I knew about it was per diem for lunch. So I'm thinking,
right.
well, what is it? So I said, really? And so, big smile on my face. He said, oh, you're smiling now. So then I went and talked to Bob.
Oh, Bob first.
So I went and talked to Bob.
Okay.
And he said, well, okay, he told me when to come back. And I went through the process. And they said, well, we program the news. And I thought, program? Because my only experience was the last time I had done any news, there was humans on every position. And I knew everybody was using robotic cameras and stuff like that, but I still didn't understand how it worked exactly. And that's when you and I connected again.
Yes.
And I started training on programming and
coding.
Excuse me. It was coding, and I was getting some of it, and I wasn't getting, and I was like, okay. And I was really good at remembering this part, but then, I was good at remembering this part, and I left off this part.
Right.
And I was getting it, usually I learn pretty fast. I kind of prided myself on how quickly I learned something, and I didn't learn it fast enough. And you and I talked, and matter of fact, I even sat in your office
Right.
and did a mock and did the news. And you're like, you can do it. But where I knew I was lacking was in the coding,
Yes.
and I wasn't fast enough. And I thought, okay. And
For the people who are listening and watching this, what you may or may not realize is our newscasts at our major stations are all automated.
yeah,
We don't have people who stand behind the cameras anymore. There's not a person who punches the cameras on a switcher anymore. There's no one in the audio booth. They are all pre-programmed, and codes are dropped into the script that will tell automatically where the cameras are supposed to move. It will open and close the microphones. It will roll the next tape. It will do all of those things.
put video in the monitors. And all that
Video and
stuff.
graphics and monitors, and it's all pre-programmed.
Yeah.
And at my station, the director is the one who does the coding and drags the codes into the script based upon what's on the rundown. So
Yep.
if Reggie is the anchor and he's going to toss to a VO, I had to drag a code in that his camera shot, his microphone is open, and then when it's time for him to go to the video, we go to the next code that shows the video that rolls it, takes it. And that's the job now. That's what I do. I still call the show. Technically, they say you don't have to, but we do it. That way, people are still on headset who are still around are all on board as to what's going on. But it's all done by automation. It's that last step before AI takes over. That's what it said.
Yeah.
So because I was at the station where we had manned operators, and I thought about this the other day. If I were to do the exact same 4 a.m. newscast today that back in 1986, there would have been 14 people on the.
Oh, I know.
Now there are 3. The talent runs their own teleprompter now. It used to be someone who ran.
I know.
The
I
talent
remember.
runs the prompter.
Wow. Okay.
There's no one in the audio booth. There's a person who punches and does a little bit of routing, and I code the show and I call the show. And that's basically it. So I've gone through the evolution of having manned cameras and the slow disintegration of what we did from that to
Right.
the robotic cameras to automation. So I kind of limped my way through it. For somebody who's never done it, you have no slow move toward it. So this is rough, rugged, and raw. Like, I gotta do what? I gotta take a grommet and drag it into a script,
And that, yeah.
and then be able to make a change.
See,
That's the other part, because it's live. Like, okay, Reggie's not doing the story. Alex is doing it. Well, I have a different mic. I'm a different seat. So you have to quickly.
type it in.
No, it's not even that. You got to just go grab another pre-made icon and drag it in.
Oh, really? Oh, so you even have to type. So then it changed from when I was there.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, let's also put it this way: all of us directors, we slightly code slightly differently.
Yeah.
We all have our sets of codes. So, like, I have Reggie codes and Alex codes. So Alex gonna do the story. Okay, fine. We grab one of these Alex codes, drag it in here, and that way the switch will go to this camera as opposed to your camera. Then my mic as opposed to your mic.
Yeah.
But then I got to get the right video code, because if I play the same video, it'll be your mic and your audio, and I'm reading the story, but you won't hear
But
it.
you're here because your mic
With
is
the wrong one. So there's a lot of things that have to go in, and have to go in the right order. Mm-hmm. So if it's a SOTVO, it's sound on tape followed by VO, I have to make sure the sound on tape graphic icon comes in first before the VO. I just can't just throw it in willy-nilly.
Right. Right.
So it's a lot to it. You got to do it fast. That's live. And that's the thing. It's a live show.
And it was a drag for me that I didn't learn it as fast as I thought I should have, which, I mean,
They need you to be able to walk in and do it.
I put the pressure on myself, and I even told him, I said, if I can't do this job, I said, give me 30 days. I said, if you give me 30 days and I can't do this job, I'll step down. Because coding was just so out of this world for me.
Right.
And I got decent, but here was, and you and I talked,
Right.
and here's why I decided to well, it was two reasons to step down was the person who was training me said, well, we might use you today
Right.
and we may not call you for 2 months.
Correct.
And I was like, well, wait a minute, I can forget what I learned.
That's part of the problem.
And not only that, different newscasts, depending on the time,
Right.
are different.
Yes.
They're as different as you coding as from another director. They're that different. And I thought, well, you know what? I said, before I set myself up for failure, well, that was the thing that made me consider stepping down. The thing that made me decide to step down was, we might call you this week, and they might not call you for 2 months. And I thought, well, that's not going to work at all.
Correct.
So, but it was fun to do. I was there for 30 days. I did.
Glad you enjoyed it.
5 o'clock. I did. Well, okay, I did. So you were there 4. I did 5, and then you did 6, and I did 7,
Right.
and then I did 8 with Bob.
You did
And
9 with Bob.
No, 9 with Bob. Yeah.
Which
And
is a
then
different
I was like, okay, this is cool.
Right.
And I thought, okay. Now here's what I thought was interesting. The person who trained me, he was a very good news director.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent news director. Excellent teacher.
Yes.
He said, but this is what he told me. He said, you know what, Reg? He said, I can't direct the way you do. He said, I can't go out and say, okay, I have 5 cameras and I tell everybody what to do. And what. He said, I can't do that.
Right.
And I thought, at first I thought, really? Well, directing is directing. But then when I really sat down and thought about it, well, yeah, it's what you're exposed to.
Correct.
If it's technically cookie cutter, only difference was he was coding, so where I would actually say it, he wasn't saying, but he was still coding technically what I would say.
Right.
So, and after that I thought, well, yeah, I said, then I kind of understand, why there's a difference.
Not every director can direct the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese doesn't direct Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
And Tarantino doesn't direct Scorsese movies. They're just different disciplines.
Yeah.
I've done a variety of things. Some directors couldn't do a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Some directors can't do sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
The thing about our newscast is that it incorporates a lot of different things. And if mostly what you do is basic news,
Mm-hmm.
take Reggie, take VO, take graphic, go back to Reggie, take VO, take, if that's all you do. But if, okay, Reggie's going to do an exercise segment and we got to get him picking up the weights and running around the studio, I might not know how to do that well, and not every director does that well.
Yeah.
Or, if you get the pet, shoot the dog, and what's the dog doing, and
Right.
and follow the action. When I had to do the opera, I had to think once upon a time, what was the most difficult things I've done? And by far, the symphony, because of how we did it,
Oh, yeah, well.
was the most difficult. But the second thing was the opera.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the symphony, well, you know the symphony,
Oh, yeah.
if you don't know the instruments, you can't read the music, you're just calling shots over and over and over and over and over
Right,
and over again.
right.
And you're basically directing 2 shows. You're directing the TD to take the camera, you're directing the camera guys to go get this next shot. You got to be ahead of the TD so you can get that. And that was insane.
Yeah.
The thing about the opera was it's a show that I had never seen or heard of before, and it was in a foreign language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I can follow the dialogue as to what they're doing. And if I don't know the show, well, who are we shooting? I got to tell a bunch of guys, shoot this person or shoot this action and this is about to happen. Because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, God bless him, the producer, would give me the score and give me the book. But it was all done in foreign language. I couldn't read it anyway. So okay. So what I ended up doing is I look up the opera, get the gist of it.
Yeah.
And so when the show started, I would try to follow along the action. Okay, that's the main guy. And I had in my ear the stage manager of the show. So he's calling the show for the stage crew.
Oh, okay.
And I had to work in my mind when he says, I want, Mr. Johnson to come stage left. That tells me I need to shoot screen right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to make that immediate decision.
Right.
Whatever he says is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell you pan right and get so-and-so and get this. So that was challenging. But I got it down to where I could do it.
But here's the thing. Okay, now, after 40 years,
Yes.
when you and I first worked together, was at the opera.
Yes, it was the opera.
And as a camera operator, because I'm a director, I'm thinking, what can I do to help the director? What can I do to get him further along or where he's going to need to be? So I'm a camera operator thinking like a director, so I'm trying to be ahead of what's going on. So there were times when, I would see what you, and I think we had video, somehow or another, I was able to see, maybe it was video returns on the camera.
Probably did.
I was able to see what you were doing so that I knew he's probably going to need this shot. So I could be there. There's one shot, I took a really wide shot, and it was a beam of light to travel all the way over, and it shot one part of the stage, and I thought, this will be a cool shot for him to take. Because action wasn't coming to my camera. And I just did the shot as a cover, and you took the shot. Mm-hmm. But as a director, I have always wanted to learn more. So if I couldn't do one thing, how do I learn how to do it?
So sometimes that's helpful.
Oh yeah, I know you're going
in the right environment. But sometimes, and I go back to, I had to do the Aretha funeral. For some reason, if you were Black and of note and you died, I had to do your funeral. I did Coleman's funeral.
Really?
I did Rosa Parks' funeral, and I did Aretha's funeral.
Yeah.
And I figured, okay, that's it. Just those three. But now I realize there might be one more, and I'm hoping that it's not done here, and it's Berry Gordy.
Well, you can call me. I direct it.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what will happen. But I think that might be in LA. But if it happens here, I won't be doing it because, what, I'm done. Find somebody else to do this stuff.
Oh, shucks. I'm a Black guy. I'm good.
Yeah, and I got right into it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and this goes back to, and I don't know if any news photographers will be watching this. When I did these things, I had basically news shooters because we were done as a newscast. Mm-hmm. We did this thing. Well, news shooters are used to operating on their own. They're not used to having a director in their ear to tell them what to shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember specifically the casket was coming in. And I would mention, okay, I need camera one to shoot the casket. Well, what happened? 5 cameras shot the casket. It's like, no, I don't need 5 cameras to shoot the casket. Yeah. I need you to stay over here to get the reaction to the casket. But their thought is, this is the main hero.
Right.
Go follow the hero.
Right.
That's like, and then you've got to go through that. We tell, they're not used to the director telling you, don't shoot this, shoot this. And some photogs are open to it. Others are like, I'm a photog, I know what I'm doing. I don't need a director to tell me what to do. Mm. And so you got to deal with that. And like with the opera, sure, you gave me a shot, and that's great. But sometimes I need to shoot this crowd scene that's going on over here while the duel is going on over here. So I can cut away to this. I need something to cut to. Or I know that the girl is going to come out from the balcony, so I need to get a camera up there ready for the girl. Even though she might not come out for, half the song.
Yeah, yeah.
I just need it there because, again, I don't know what's happening. I wasn't there for the rehearsals because no one wanted to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just got to be ready. And so it's hard sometimes for photogs, particularly, to sit on a shot. And you're not coming to me.
Well,
and it's not personal. It's like, this is how it works.
When my career, I got hired by a church. They had 6 cameras. Wanted to do for a Christian television network. Mm-hmm. All the camera people were volunteers from the church.
Sure.
Had to train them. And so what that enabled me to do, now eventually I got them to where we could do whatever they needed us to do. They did a play. Mm-hmm. Didn't tell us they were having a play. We shot the play.
Sure.
But what that enabled me to do is to tell people ahead of time, okay, camera 1, this is where I need you, camera 2. And so I give all the assignments ahead of time. And then what I tell them, I said, okay, I know you may want to sell me something. I said, but don't sell me something because you may hurt me. Right. I said, just don't do anything unless I tell you to do it.
Just go where I need you to go.
And then after the production got going, and they kind of saw my flow. Now I get what you're saying about a camera operator. Say, well, I know this.
Right.
You may be a photographer, but if you're not where I need you to be, you might as well not have any experience at all.
Right.
You know, but
and I guess there are people who do sports and they know that they're the end zone camera, and they know within that scope what they need to shoot within that. And I've done sports a couple of times. I hope to never do sports ever again in life. I didn't enjoy any aspect of that.
No.
No. So and no one's asked me to do sports again. Thank goodness. It's just lots of yelling, yelling, you know, and action. It's like, you know, it's not that deep. But there are some people who are able to do different things or stay in their lane. Some are, you know, because specifically in news, a photog has to be the producer and the director and the talent coach, you know, and tell the story. And basically sometimes, like, you know what, I don't even need the report. I can do this myself. And sometimes they've done it, you know, they do the interview, you know. And so it's hard to go from that to, I'm just going to stand here and point my camera where you tell me.
Yeah.
And some guy or lady in my ear saying, shoot that. Or pan over, or you're you know, do this, like.
And see, and I always thought, because I had done so many different things, it enabled me to do what my director needed. I had, you know, instead of what I thought, because
as a photog, you were great.
You and I are directors. But if I run camera for you, my directing skills, if I say, okay, if he's over there and he's over there and I'm not needed right here and I know what's coming, let me get where he may want me to be, and you'll either see me there or you'll go, no 3 or 4, whatever my camera, no 3, go over here. Then I just go over here.
But it's a job I never wanted. I figured out how to. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy it. That's a job I never wanted, but I figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
And I made it work. Yeah. You know, I still do some freelance here and there. You know, after this interview is over, I'll be doing the news tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not always cookie cutter. There are little nuances that changes. Yeah. And you roll with the changes. Sometimes you really despise the changes that they do, but it's your job is to make it work. And so I've done that, and I've made a career of it. So.
Well, Alex, I'm gonna tell you. You see how fast this goes.
Yeah.
We didn't even, we just sort of began to scratch the surface of what we've done all these years.
We have a long career.
But I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great, man.
This is great.
I'm really impressed with what you do.
Oh, thank you.
You may not want to do it, but I think it's cool. But everybody, what I'd like to say is, you know, if you're interested, those of you watching, if you're interested, now it's conversations with people who work behind the camera, in front of the camera, above the line, and below the line, and you know who that is. If you want to have a conversation with me, reach out to me at EMERJ TV on Facebook or EMERJ.TV. On any website, take you to my channel. Reach out at emerj.tv@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.